Good evening. Today is March the 17th of 2012. Perhaps a day later than I initially intended to do these recordings, but it's been a full month for me, as you'll perhaps see in hindsight. Anyway, I'm here to do the mind concept for this month. We're into the octave of living. We've entered into the mind series altogether, which was assessment. I think I'm going to change that to observation, so it'll just change the titles, nothing else. The second concept within the topic of observation is the mind concept, which is that of wants. We just did the body concept, which is needs, and we talked about the difference between the needs for living and the needs for surviving. Now we're going to talk about wants. Wants is a mental concept because, well, in essence, wants only truly exist in the mind. Wants are usually an outgrowth of a feeling of lack. Truly, if you were to examine that which you perceive to want, traditionally what you're expressing is that you lack something, and the possession of that want will provide that for you. We've discussed previously how that can't be, but we might have lost it in the shuffle, so we'll go back to it. Wants express themselves in a myriad of ways. And every form, every facet of who you are has its own unique method of communicating. The body tends to communicate its wants and urges, cravings. We've all had them. It could be something like hunger or tiredness. These are urges. The body is urging you to say, hey, I lack the proper sustenance, the proper amount of energy. I would like you to eat. I want to feel refreshed and I feel tired right now. I lack the proper amount of rest. I need you to sleep. I have an abundance of energy and I want to share it in the most intimate fashion with someone. I want you to have sex. We call that horniness. See, the thing is, we get so caught up in labeling and trying to find the origin of these symptoms without ever addressing, well, their origin. Actually, this is a common problem most often with our form of assessment. We tend to specialize and feel like we can get true wisdom from focusing on the outgrowths, the symptoms, the fractals, the things that happen because of. If we focus on those and deal with them one at a time, like playing whack-a-mole, like we're ever going to get anything besides something to do. I'm not wired that way. I tend to look for the heart of the matter, and in the heart of the matter, the urge is your body's way simply of communicating to you what it thinks it wants. And I say just that, what it perceives it wants. Now, most often it behooves you to the best of your ability, indulge the desires, the urges of your body, because it'll help you with the communication and the interplay. We talked before about energetic processing and how one needs to eat, one needs to move. All of these fall into the line of urges. There is an urge for motion. There's an urge for rest. And there's an urge for sensation. See, this body uniquely is a vessel for experience. It desires, it yearns for sensation, but it gets distracted from those sensations in the urges. Quiet the urges and help your body view the sensations purely, and you'll get the most out of this life. Whereas the body urges, the mind desires. And I say desire because primarily desires are a stronger formation of the same sense of lack. We have desires for mates, for relationships. We have desires for status and stature, for wealth, for security. See, all of these truly are illusionary concepts. You might say that I'm mistaken in that. I'll tell you what. If you have the ability to, that which you perceive as a desire, visit the visual construct that you create around that desire and see if you haven't jacked that shit straight from a movie. See if it hasn't been something that was built and placed in your head by a book, by someone else's point of view of that which was valuable. Most people base relationships based on other people's experience with relationships, not their own. We are taught that they're supposed to happen a certain way. We are taught to desire them because they bring some sort of substance, some sort of completion. See, we ignore in situations like this what is being communicated by such a statement. So you're telling me that a relationship brings completion. Are you trying to communicate that I'm not complete in and of myself? Yes, that is exactly what they're trying to communicate. It is not true. You are whole and complete. You are in constant communion with yourself and all that is. You have a deep and profoundly intimate relationship with all of the existence that is currently embodied and not embodied. It's just acknowledgement. You can either acknowledge that as your substantive and core truth, or you can choose not to acknowledge it. Now that you've been exposed to it, those are the only two options that are open to you, because you can no longer claim ignorance. See, desires are good, and in essence, wants are good, because what they do is provide you with the barometer of sort of where you stand spiritually. Look at a spoiled child, and look how varied their wants are. Look how many wants they'll express in one given moment, because all they're really expressing is the want for true empathetic attention. Most often that's what it is they desire most, but they have no idea how to express that. That's what their soul yearns for. So instead they mask them with surface desires. I want candy. I want toys. I want you to go get me this kind of food, or this kind of clothing, or this, I want you to play this person, or do this thing. All of those things amount to pleas for true, conscious, recognized attention, acknowledgement of the spiritual being that's there. Then again, view a child that does not have very many material possessions, but is saturated with love, conscious recognition, and acknowledgement, and ask them what they want. What they'll want is to share their joy with who you are. That's it. There's a spiritual version of wants as well, and they express themselves as instincts. Now, this one's a little more elusive, so we're going to take some time with it. We're not subject to the past, because we all reside within the now, and truly in the now, which is all that truly exists, there's no past. There's no future. There is only this moment. This moment. This moment. This moment. The moment that we started talking no longer exists. It is bound within this now. All that exists in this instant, this single unfolding moment. If you are willing to actually view it, look back at your life and you'll see that you've been in this moment, all of it. The whole time. And not just this life. It echoes. It is the same singular moment that you can trace back to the very origins of all matter. That journey, though, from the singular moment of creation till now has been rife with experience in all of the various embodiments that you had, and all the various embodiments that I had. When I was simply hydrogen, I experienced what the life embodiment of a hydrogen is like. And that gave me certain clues as to the best path to take towards becoming what I perceived as more than just hydrogen. Perhaps at that point it was helium. Those clues stayed with me even when I became a helium. And I found that certain times I would find myself in situations of deja vu, or where there was intuition within me that was guiding me towards certain actions that I wasn't sure how I knew, but I was certain would provide me with the results that I was looking for. They gave me an instinct, a residual instinctual memory. That is true of all matter. It's doubly true once you get up to a form of embodiment that is so complex that it incorporates the full parameters of existence. Think about your body. Think about the fact that it's hydrogen and nitrogen, sodium, iron, nickel, silicate. All of them come with their own instincts, their own instinctual drive for how best to live their life and pursue the goal of evolution on an individual level. And then when it gets up to an individual consciousness that is embodied in such a complex organism, it is bombarded by all of these instincts. What they amount to is they're clues, they're a chorus of desires, a chorus of yearnings for individual growth with sort of the short-sighted parameter of identity. The hydrogen, let's say the blood cell, doesn't necessarily know that it's part of your body. It just knows that it wants to be the best blood cell possible. You are the one who can bring your consciousness into the blood cell and say, you're doing a great job. You're moving towards the instinct, and your instinct is wholly true. Move towards it, and I will support you. See, what you can do is not depreciate any one of these given voices, communications, but understand that they amount to expressions of children that know no better than to express what they want because they can't truly perceive just yet what they desire, what they yearn for. That is yours as the totality being, as the nothingness, the observer. This moves us into totality. Actually, the totality is in the discussion already. It makes no sense for me to sit here and denunciate one thing or another. For me to say, wants are the fruit of all evil. You'll actually get many schools of thought that are perceived to be expansive, where they'll say, it's desires that create suffering. Well, that's horseshit. Desires do not create anything. They might express a lack, and that lack might manifest as despair and suffering. But you can't blame that on the want. The want is a pure thing, asserting its own existence, doing what its instincts tell it should do. It does you no good to judge that as good or bad, inefficient or efficient, right or wrong. The truth of it is as you are. Observe it with a neutrality of judgment. Observe it wholly. Allow it to be. Allow it to show up in the fullest scope, and then gain what you can from it, and then give back what you have gained. See, your body is here to experience sensation. You're here to gain insight, wisdom, evolution from the experiences and the sensation that your body gains. That is the interplay between the two, the various roles that each one of you have chosen. That's where your mind gives you the key. It's able to interpret complex information and translate it to you in a way that you understand. Understand it and grow. I leave you. Bye.